Hey everybody, it's a Tuesday video. Managed to do it. Feeling ish. But this is when I talk about games and I had a conversation, another Leanne Care session, that I thought was a good topic for a general evergreen video game topic. That game that ruins other games for you, at least for a while. We all have them. Um, and it's an interesting phenomenon that, again, talked about with somebody in a Leanna Care session, and it inspired me to make this video because I'm sure this isn't something just me and that client think. So if you like this sort of content, help support this channel, become a monthly patron, patreon.com/Leanna K, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it, coffee.com/Leanna K. Patreon is the only reason I can take any sick days. So just on the backside of COVID, it's not therapy. It's going to be very, very bout with COVID inspired this week, let me tell you. So that game that ruins other games for you. We all have that game every so often that just hits you in a particular way that the next few things you play just don't feel the same. The original BioShock was like that for me, and it's funny because I go back and play it and the thrill is gone. But after the first time I played BioShock, it was just something about there was nothing terribly great about the combat in that game. It was the art, it was the voice acting, the reading back of um the diaries that you listened while you were moving around. I find that very, very effective storytelling in video games. Things you can listen to while you do other things. It doesn't stop the action of the game, but it allows you to really drink in really, really well performed dialogue. And any story game for a while after that just wasn't as good. And then the God of War games, for what they were, the first three were like that. The most recent one, I think I was just so relieved that they managed to evolve the story and it didn't suck. But even that one, I had to sort of step away from games like that. But the one that really wrecked me was Ghost of Tsushima. Because that game, the story was great, the combat was great, visually it was beautiful. And I know people who do not like the story at all on Ghost of Tsushima, but it really spoke to me. And the characters were great. The way the story was told was great. You know, the love letter to Kurosawa, all good. And, I was talking to somebody who said that to them that was the gateway drug to From Software games because they couldn't touch anything else with a story. After that, the story was just too good. It just stayed with them. They couldn't connect to other things. And I know I couldn't play a From Software game. I thought that was interesting because I couldn't play a From Software game after Ghost of Tsushima because of the jank. The combat in Ghost of Tsushima was just so fluid. For me, it was such an absolute joy to play. The combo timing was spot on and it was just so good. It was probably more challenging than I thought it was because the controls weren't getting in the way. Just so well done. And so I had to go play stuff like RimWorld or Satisfactory for a while after that. And then I discovered the Yakuza games. Um, and even those, after a Yakuza game, I don't want to play anything but another Yakuza game. Though I am going to try Stray tonight, hopefully, if I feel up to it. Keep an eye on Twitter to see how I'm doing today. Because I have to get the radio show done. Um, but yeah, the Yakuza games are just so, I mean, they're lower budget, right? You can't you can't compare them to like a Sony first party. But that mix of absurd and, even with the jank in the controls in some of the games, the combination of absurdity and then those truly gripping emotional moments and then the camp, it just feels so good that, things get, nothing that is trying to sort of be that irreverent kind of fun works after a Yakuza game. So I just don't anymore. I think the thing that made Ghost of Tsushima especially brutal in that way for me, though, was that the game before Ghost of Tsushima that I played was The Last of Us 2. And that game was so fucking miserable. I just walked around angry. Everybody was so unlikable. Everything was so forced. Everything was so, emotional railroading. I just, no. And then you get this game where, your dad is the wind and your mother is a bird and you have haikus and you pet the foxes, but then it's this, really bloody combat, some horrifying poison scenes, and it was another one that was just a roller coaster, and that thing with the horse, oh my god. It did so many of the things Last of Us 2 attempted to do, because it wasn't like, look how bending of expectations we are being. It all just worked. And maybe it was the juxtaposition for me, but it was like, oh god, I can still like stuff. I can still, click with something. I'm not just seeing the seams. I'm not just watching and going, oh, they totally rearranged those levels. That's clearly originally designed a tutorial dead smack in the middle of the game, and this pacing's bad and these controls are bad and I do this all differently. Ghost of Tsushima was a game I just played. And it was just fun and good and beautiful and poignant. But it wasn't just like good performances, right? It wasn't just a good movie you press buttons to. It was a good game. It was a complete package. And again, I know some people don't click with the story, because you're either going to click with a Kurosawa style story or you're not. It's just, it is what it is, right? No game is for everyone. But I mean, I enjoy the Far Cry games, even though there tend to be, because of the nature of those games, the narratives surrounding the action, I tend to find kind of thin. That being said, that's not why I play Far Cry games. I play Far Cry games for fucked up animal companions and like this sandbox with RPG launchers and riding tigers and, whipping meat so the tigers eat the guys. That is strictly a gameplay experience for me. But again, I can play something after those games. I'm not brutalized by the experience for anything with a story and cool graphics and beautiful environments and everything like that, like I was with Ghost of Tsushima. And I'm sure there are some other games that I'm forgetting right now that just sort of ruined the next thing you played for you. But I'm curious about what that game is for other people. So what's your game that ruined other games for you? Just because it was so good that you don't think you gave a fair chance to the next thing you played. Let me know. I'm really curious. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Coffee.com/LeannaK. Thanks for watching. Let me know your game.